Football, the most popular sport in all of the United States. People from all around the world come to watch this engaging sport. There are teams in almost every major city from LA to New York. However, in recent years, the sport's horrible reality is coming to a limelight. The NFL is the culmination of all these little kids' dreams, making millions to play the sport they love. But the NFL isn't the only place where these hits and injuries occur. Severe diseases can start at a young age. Those who played tackle football before the age of 12 had a cognitive issues arise 13 years earlier and behavioral and mood problems 13 years earlier than those who began to play at 12 or older. In addition, for every 1 year younger that someone was exposed to tackle football, the onset of cognitive problems occurred 2 years earlier and behavioral and mood problems 2 years earlier. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE, is a degenerative brain disease found in athletes, military veterans, and others with a history of repetitive brain trauma. In CTE, a protein called tau forms clumps that slowly spread throughout the brain, killing brain cells. CTE has been seen in people as young as 17, but symptoms do not generally begin appearing until years after the onset of head impacts, caused by repetitive hits to the head sustained over a period of years. Treating a disease that can't be officially diagnosed until after death is difficult. Luckily, people with the symptoms of CTE can find relief. Today I have with me the son of Junior Seau, Hunter.
Nice to be here.
So, what was it like living with someone with CTE?
Well, in the early years, like when he was playing football and I was kind of young, I didn't really notice anything. He acted normal, like complete normal dad, a great one, as a matter of fact. Later in life, though, when he was, getting up there in age, I kind of just thought that was just like regular, age stuff, age problems. He was slowing down. I didn't know that was anything related to football and the hits that occurred then.
What were some of the first symptoms you saw?
Symptoms, he started to kind of lost his mind, some of his memory. His personality changed a lot. He was not as enthusiastic and social as usual, and he kind of lost his appetite as well. He got really skinny, like extremely skinny, like you could see his ribs and everything. It was not pleasant. And I never knew that would lead to suicide. It was truly heartbreaking.
Today I have with me the brother of Aaron Hernandez, DJ Hernandez. Do you think Aaron Hernandez's murders had anything to do with CTE?
Definitely. I think all the confusion going on just led to him. He wasn't in a good place at the time, obviously. And I mean, why would he throw away his career? He was doing so well. He's just got a 6-year contract, something like that, making millions. So I think just all those hits that he had, even that CTE, messed up his brain.
Do you think his CTE led to his death?
His death? You mean his suicide? Yes, I do. I believe that. I also think he probably did it for his wife, because by doing that, the Patriots had to reimburse him some of his money, so he got them more money throughout his life and tried to leave off, something good for them, because he couldn't do that anymore, obviously, because he was going away for life. And I think that part right there just showed there was still some Aaron that I knew left in him.
NFL teams are currently trying to tie in new technology in helmets so they can better protect the players' heads from hits. According to 01, the helmet is made with layers, and those layers work in harmony to lessen the impact of hits, both as they occur over time. The 01's multiple layers work together to slow impact forces. The helmet features a soft outer shell and an underlying layer of columns designed to mitigate collisions from multiple directions. However, this is not going to completely stop players from being affected by CTE.
Repetitive hits, even to the body, can even cause the CTE to spread or start. These hits can also affect other devastating injuries such as ligament sprains or ACL injuries. This is a professional from Cambridge University, Dr. Jason Hopalophagus.
A classic example of a problematic hit for the NFL is one where a wide receiver making a catch collides in midair with a defender. These tend to end badly for the receiver, particularly when they're focused on making the catch and can't embrace for the impact. The defenders often fare a little better in these, though it's unusual for a big collision to send both players to the locker room with concussions, as defensive players tend to run a little larger than receivers. When we ask introductory physics students to explain what's happening, they often make the mistake thinking that the issue is one of force. The larger defender must exert a bigger force on the smaller receiver, leading the greater chance of injury. This is a very common mistake, but it is a mistake. To that experience, Isaac Newton said to every action, there's always opposed and equal reaction, or the mutual reactions of the two bodies upon each other are always equal and directed to contrary parts. A force between the two objects is an interaction that changes momentum, and the reaction will have the same effect on each object. If the momentum of the one increases, the momentum of the other will decrease by a corresponding amount. This conservation of momentum greatly simplifies what is otherwise an extremely complicated problem. All we need to think about is the momentum right after they stop interacting. The acceleration is responsible for the sensation of the force as our internal organs slosh around. It's also what's responsible for the concussions that are currently a major concern for NFL players and fans. Concussions from the brain shifting violently and running up against the inside of the skull, and the greater this acceleration, the greater the damage. The way to protect against this damage is to reduce the acceleration, which is why football helmets have thick padding on the inside. The padding compresses during impact, prolonging the duration of the collision and reducing the acceleration. The total change in momentum is the same, but it takes little longer to happen, and thus reduces the acceleration.
Here we have an interview with the former NFL player Tom Crabtree talking about his potential CTE diagnosis.
Everybody kind of treats concussions the same way, or at least they have until these studies have come out. It's not looked at as a real injury, and you're kind of looked down on if you miss time with a concussion or if you complain about it. If you sit and watch games this weekend, whether it's college or NFL, you'll see a guy make a big hit or take a hit himself and walk to the wrong huddle or stumble to the sidelines, and he'll be in that game at some point later in the game. He'll still get in there and play.